Greetings, fanboys and fangirls. Jared here with another news video for Masters of the Universe. And today, Mattel, through their official social media channels, has revealed their villains presentation. Now, what's great about this is the last reveal that they did was based on Origins, but this time it's a villainous reveal based on the Masterverse figures. And there are some really surprising picks in here, along with some that we had already heard about and some that had gotten leaked. So I'm very excited to go over each of these with you and kind of share my thoughts and opinions on each. And of course, be sure that you like the video. It really helps us out and it helps YouTube to share it out. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on all the other Masters of the Universe updates and videos that I have coming. First of all, we have to talk about the elephant in the room, and that is this brand new Skeletor, which is based on the CGI series that's on Netflix. And I have to say, I am thrilled with this. It really captures the animation in a way that is just spectacular. It's so detailed, it's extremely articulated. It has so many paint hits. It does everything that I would have wanted the original 5-inch kids figure release to have done, but it's just like the most adult version of it that you could possibly do with all of the details. I particularly like how Skeletor's neck has all those paint hits in it, like it's kind of the molten lava look. And it's definitely one of the best Skeletor head sculpts in and of itself that I think we've ever seen in the modern era, so I'm just incredibly impressed. Next up, we have a really exciting release, and this is the Beastman figure. Now, this is based more on the 2000X kind of design of the figure, and it is just spectacular looking. I've always been a big fan of the Beastman design from the 2000X kind of series, and this really takes it to the next level. This just shows how far Mattel is willing to go in terms of covering all eras of the character, and there's some very impressive stuff. Not only is the head looking really good, but down here they even have things like the kind of extra details that are kind of tamper-graphed onto the loincloth section. And not only that, but there's some really interesting alternate accessories, including this sort of like spiked bat. And then we have this really cool like headdress, as well as an actual like soft goods like furry mane with an alternative harness that you can put on the chest. All of this is just really fascinating, and I'm really thrilled at all the ingenuity here. This is definitely a huge victory for the line, and Masterverse continues to go in directions that make me a lot happier with it. Next up, we have Catra. Now, this goes exactly with what they had revealed just yesterday with Frosta. And Frosta, of course, was just based straight up on, it looked like the Filmation animation, but this appears to be the same thing. It is just based very strictly on that, with some flourishes and details that make it accurate to elements of that original toy. And I think that everybody is just really going to be thrilled with these Princess of Power figures, and it's going to be its own little kind of sub-line. And it looks really cool. I think the soft goods cape might be a little thin, so it's I think that this will look better when it's not under like a really harsh studio light. But honestly, I think it's a really well-built figure, and I think people are going to be really pleased with it. It's also worth noting that in the description, they talk about how the mask is movable, so I'm sure that you can do some different things with that, and you can also reveal Catra's face. Now, here's something that I think that people are going to be really thrilled with, and it is this new Hordak figure. And wow, this is really cool. Hordak is looking quite a bit more slick than we're used to seeing him. He's definitely more kind of stylized here, but it's a very kind of anime-esque look. It doesn't really match the 2000X animation when the flashback when he fights King Grayskull, but instead this is kind of its own thing. It's a pretty decent match for the Filmation animation, while still looking a little more sleek. And I have to say, this is nice. If Hordak ever shown up like this in, say, Masters of the Universe Revelation Season 2 or something like that, I would be thrilled. And notice that is a soft goods cape there, and he has his bow, very nice. And you can see that there's all sorts of different accessories. In particular, you have this hand, which is very accurate to the Filmation animation, so that's nice. I keep saying Filmation animation, it sounds funny. You can see the cape is completely removable. Also down here, you have a claw attachment, you have the bow, and you even have this awesome looking Horde shield with some alternate hands. This is as plussed up as it gets, so I am thrilled with this release. Now here's a very unexpected release. It's Jitsu, and you can see that you've got all sorts of details that kind of call back to that original while sort of doing its own thing. For one thing, we have this really interesting kind of samurai-esque face mask that goes over the bottom part of his face, something that we really hadn't seen done before. can also see the sword retains that orange while having a lot of other painted details on it as well. And Mattel is using their really nice back metallization technology. He also has some kind of shin armor that even has a scabbard for the sword and a rope that ties around, and he has his standard boots. Now, here's the figure with all of the accessories off and kind of, brought down to his regular form. But I'll be 100% honest, I'm not quite as thrilled with what they did with Jitsu. And I'm a huge Jitsu fan, as anybody who's watched some of my recent videos about the Origins figure, you know that I really, really love character itself. And maybe that's part of the reason why this isn't quite doing it for me. But honestly, there's something here that was lost about Jitsu. And I'll tell you, I honestly think he might look a little bit better without those shin guard armor pieces on and without the mask. I think this guy just being in his more classic form would really help things. I definitely think that they might have deviated a little far in places. I mean, it's still fine. I don't know. I think the head looks really good. And it's kind of a shame that they were covering it up with a mask earlier. So I think that he'll look a lot better once you get him in hand and you can kind of customize him to be what you want him to be. But for now, he's just a decent Jitsu and definitely one that I'll pick up. But I think that it's the kind of deal where we'll know once he's in hand and I'll have a much better feel for what the figure is actually like. As absolutely hilarious as this is to say, I think the figure that I might be the most excited about from this is the CGI Skeletor. It's just so out of the box and just... it's not something that a lot of companies would do to take more of their kids' property and bring it into that collector space. But the truth is that I think this is a really smart move because I think a lot of older kind of adult collectors are gravitating towards that CGI show. They kind of geek out once they start watching it and realizing that there's a lot of quality in it. And I especially think the kids are going to get a big kick out of it. Other than that, definitely second place Hordak. Very close call there because that Hordak is really nice. And a really close third place, Beastman. After that, Katra. And unfortunately, at the bottom of the hype pile for me is Jitsu. I think that he'll be better in hand. But for now, they've just made a few odd departures. Maybe they're actually going to put him in that new Eternia kind of branding. Because I do think from here on out, we're going to see every Masterverse figure have some kind of sub-branding, whether that's He-Man in the Masters Universe for the CGI show, more of the Princess of Power stuff, which may actually be what we see Hordak under, but I'm not sure. The 2000X branding, and then the new Eternia for like anything that's based sort of on old artwork. And I think that may be where Jitsu falls in place, but you never know. Till then, I sure do want to thank you for checking out my follow-up to the Heroes reveal video. It means the world to me that you've checked us out here on Fanboys Forever. And of course, be sure that you like the video. It really helps us out and it helps YouTube to share it out. And of course, always with that pesky algorithm. So please be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on all the other Masters of the Universe updates and videos that I have coming. And until next time, God bless you and yours, and I'll see you on Fanboys Forever. Fanboy out. Good journey.